Creativity is an addiction. Unplugged because we will always say yes to creativity. Totally Uncut because we all make mistakes. So let's turn it into a tool. This is Arroe Unplugged.
Hey, it's Arroe, and this is Vocal Frag. Asking the questions and questioning the answers. Not asking others. Asking yourself the questions and questioning the answers. And not always an easy little task, because that inner being, that inner voice inside your head and heart, it looks at the world much differently than the outside shell. You know what reality is, and it likes to really kind of put its attention on the fantasy. So somewhere you got to meet in the middle and ask some questions and then question the answers. I do it in two different places. I have a handwritten defrag journal that I've been doing since November of 2017. And I do the vocal defrag for one solid reason. This way, when I go back and listen to it, I can hear the emotion, the pitch, the volume, and the tone. I can hear how it was moving through me in that moment of now. Whereas if you go through the writing, it's your interpretation on a different day. This is vocal defrag. Today, the question is, what are we running away from? Seriously, it just seems like we're always running around, running away from something. What is normal in an abnormal world? That's a heavy subject, because it seems like everything that we're doing is, wow, well, this has never happened in history before. How about those floods in New York City just a couple of weeks ago? Now my friends are asking, are we at war? Is this going to be a world war? What is normal in an abnormal world? I've also had conversations with people that say, you know what, I think I'm just going to stay home. I'm not going outside anymore. And right away, that took me back to March of 2020, when everybody was forced to go indoors because of the COVID-19 lockdown. And we all know what that did to us mentally and spiritually. So to say, you know, I'm just going to run away from the world and hide in my house, no, we've done that game already, and we didn't do too well. Now, some will say, but I like the solitude of just being with my family or just being with myself. That's cool that you can say that now, but was that truly the language that you were sharing during that COVID-19 lockdown? And if you think that you would do better this time around, why don't you take some notes on that? Ask yourself the question and question the answers. And this would start with this: what is normal in an abnormal world? For instance, like this morning when I sat down with my defrag journal, I did ask that question about, hey, all your normal things on a Saturday are done. We get the opportunity to ask some questions. And I thought about my normal things on a Saturday, which involves a lot of handwriting. I love to write. The doors are wide open. It's like 66 degrees outside. I love to write. It also involves me going into the recording studio to transfer some files so I can have things done when I hit that studio next week. It kind of relieves the pressure. My normal is still working very hard. What is your normal? What do you look at in your life that you're going, it's just me. That's what I do normally. What is normal in an abnormal world? If you can answer that question, challenge yourself to ask the next question. While you're being normal, are you collecting history? Now, some people will tell you right away that, no, I just do my own thing. I don't read the newspaper. I don't go to a website. I don't watch TMZ. I'm just doing me. That's fine. But your eyes and your ears are collecting information constantly. So you've given yourself that permission to be the receiver of everything around you. And no matter how much you say you're tuning things out, the truth of the matter is that you're not. It's still moving through you. And it's amazing how Facebook does what it does, because what you're doing in your everyday world, it picks up on it, and it's going to feed you pictures and advertising that you have spoken about with other people around you. It's like Facebook and Alexa have ears, and no matter what you do, they're going to try to feed what it is that you're doing in your normal but abnormal world. So So building a new process of you is going to require one thing, awareness. And with that awareness, it's going to require change. And that change is where a lot of us tend to run away. We don't like to face what is the truth about our world today. And look at what we're doing today with politics. What about inflation? The stock market is going crazy. And we, in this normal world that feels abnormal every day, are trying to just get by. We're running away. And that goes back to the original question. What are we running away from? Can you identify that? And what would it take for you to run toward the fire? Oh, now that's a different game, right? It's like, oh, wait a second, I need to get the hell out of here. I don't need to go more over there. It's a big change in your personality when you stop to think about how much energy and anxiety that you are really, really burning yourself up with because you're running away from something you don't want to deal with. People not paying their bills. They're running away from the reality of you made a promise that you would pay that car off. You made a promise with the bank, your house, the groceries. And nobody's going to sit there and pay for things for you forever. And that's one of the things that's always been on my heart throughout my life is that while my brothers and sisters lived off my parents for many years, I often wonder what was it that I was living during those days in the 1980s when I was out on my own that didn't put me back in my father's home, because the days were challenged. I had some very dark times in my early days of radio. How was I going to survive? And I think the survival mechanism was based on, I don't want to be like them. Have you faced that too? Have you been in a situation where you're going, I get it, but it's not my go-to unless I seriously have to? What is normal in an abnormal world? And are we headed into a more reckless world? I read an article recently that said that every generation has its tough times. This is no different than our grandparents' years and their grandparents' years, that we all have these times of difficulty and we think, oh, this is the worst ever. Now, is it or is it not? Are we being abnormal to think that we are the different generation? My mother always said that she came from the greatest generation. And it's like, Mom, how could you come from the greatest generation when you haven't been challenged by what we're going through even today with the high prices and with everything else that's going on with, like I said, the world of politics and or the potential of there being a World War III. And sure, I had to go do some research on that today too. Who officially declares a World War III? Who's the one that's going to step forward and say, yeah, the world is at war? All the way back to the original question. What is normal in an abnormal world? If all you're doing is collecting history, you're going to go down. And the truth of the matter is, history will continue to be made. Don't let history take you down. I'm Arroe, and that's Vocal Defrag.